As a husband and father, I feel like I'm just an unglorified wallet and no one respects me or even acknowledges my contribution.
It always amazes me when I hear this because the kind of men that complain about it are usually the ones that put themselves in that situation. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And guys, before we jump into today's episode, don't forget to subscribe on your way in, and don't forget to subscribe to our newest member of Fiend Gang, Detective Warg. His channel will be linked in the video description. But without further ado, let's jump into the rest of today's video.
As a husband and father, I feel like I'm just an unglorified wallet and no one respects me or even acknowledges my contribution.
That's a very fair thing to say, especially in the year 2022, guys. A lot of guys realize too late as they go through marriage and as they go through these long-term relationships that over time they end up being disrespected, only being used for their wallet and stuff like this. So it's a very valid concern, but let's jump into what this woman has to say about it.
It amazes me when I hear this because the kind of men that complain about it are usually the ones that put themselves in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know why on earth men should get married either. I totally agree with you. The men who complain about getting used for X, Y, Z, I agree with you. I don't think that they should be in position to get used at all. And this is why a lot of men are choosing not to date, and they're choosing not to marry you to begin with.
And I'm going to tell you why. I want you to think back to a time when your wife asked you to do something as her partner, and you responded by saying that you didn't have to because of your paycheck. And I want you to think...
It's not that simple. Maybe the dude just comes home from work, he's incredibly tired, and he's not interested in the nagging, no matter what it is that he quote-unquote has to do. It's not an... I've never seen a couple go, you know what, I pay the bills, so I don't have to do X. It's a mutual understanding of two people who are compromising, who understand that they're doing two different things to contribute to the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Like, men are just instantly made out as though we're like, yeah, we bring the money, so we don't have to do anything. A lot of guys will still help where they can, but you know what? A lot of other guys, they feel tired, they feel used, and they're not interested in coming home to more nagging. It's really not that hard to understand.
Think back to a time when your kids asked you to play with them, and you blew them off by saying that you had paid for their toys.
Again, I don't know a single man who's ever said this. Like, I know dudes with kids, right? I've been a kid throughout my life. I've never heard a man say this. You know what, kids? I'm not interested in playing with you or playing your games or whatever because I bring in the check. No dude has ever said this. Like, this is how you know these girls are so damn out of touch with what they're actually talking about. Is men don't even say the things that she's talking about.
I'm asking you to remember those moments because you told your family that you're only a paycheck every time you refused to be a husband and father because of it. They kept asking you to be more than a wallet, and you kept showing them that you didn't want to be. He says he feels like they don't even acknowledge his contribution, but they do. And if your only contribution is money, then why are you surprised that they only see you as a wallet?
What is this woman smoking? Like, what is this woman actually smoking? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know dudes who go through their relationships and put off, you know, having time with their kids or doing things for their wife because they're bringing in a paycheck. Okay, a lot of the times the men who work really hard, do you ever consider that maybe they just don't have all of the available time to do those things? Like, maybe he's just working very long, incredibly hard days. He comes home and he doesn't have time to do all of these extra things because he needs to eat, he needs to go to sleep, and then he needs to get up and go to work again. Right? It doesn't mean that he doesn't love the kids. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love the wife. It's just this is how things work, especially, guys, thanks to the liberation of this century, guys, where women can go out there and work. It's very difficult to, you know, to make a household thrive off of a single person income, right? So it makes jobs incredibly hard. Like, if you're a dude going out here and you're trying to support a family for a single mother household type thing, like you're trying to support your wife, girlfriend, or whatever with the kids, you're going to be, in all likelihood, stretched quite thin because of your income, because things are not easy these days. Like, they're just simply not, because we have twice as many taxpayers, we have double the workforce now. So, you know, as a consequence, the labor is just worth less.
Work outside of the home is never going to absolve you of the work inside of it, because you can't excuse yourself from the important moments with money and then expect to have the kind of relationship that can only come with time.
This is why dudes, let me just say this right off the bat, guys. Like, what this woman is saying is precisely why dudes are saying, yeah, no, thank you. I'm just going to rent an apartment in the city. I'm going to work on a job. I'm going to work on my side hustle. And I'll just get a 304 here or there from Tinder. You know, I'll hire a maid. I'll get like ready cooked meals. I'll save my time. You can get that crap, you know, get sent to your door. I'm just not interested in the marriage anymore. Like, I'm really not. I'm going to rent my apartment. I'm going to not deal with these attitudes. And if I want to have a girlfriend, maybe I'll have one here, right? If I want to see girls casually, maybe I will. If I don't want to date at all, hey, that's my own decision.
So if you want to be more than a paycheck, then start acting like more than a paycheck. But don't get angry at your family for seeing you exactly as you ask them to.
I mean, what kind of logic is this, man? So a guy has come forward with a legitimate concern about his feelings, and this is again why dudes don't really talk about their feelings, is because a lot of these girls, what they'll end up doing is they'll turn it upon themselves and say, oh, well, I feel hurt and this is why you're being treated this way. Like, they never actually take responsibility or accountability for it. This guy has come out, expressed a legitimate concern, and what this woman has done is turned around and go, oh, you know, the reason we make you feel like a wallet is because you don't do enough for us. As if, let's just say she was completely correct here and the dude wasn't doing enough, whatever. Since when did two wrongs make a right? Like, this is crap that you learn literally as a child, that two wrongs don't make a right, but it is what it is, I suppose. Let's move on.
Everyone that I am meeting is interstate and or overseas. Like, Sydney men are just fucking shit trash. No offense. I know I got some really great male friends and that's why you guys are my friends.
I mean, she just said so much in that first couple of sentences, okay? The men who she's interested in Sydney, okay, Sydney, Australia, they're all terrible. But the ones who are good are her friends, and that's why, because they're good. I'm going to play that back, guys. Like, this woman just told on herself in record time right there. That was amazing. Let's take a listen.
Awesome too.
Everyone that I am meeting is interstate and or overseas. Like, Sydney men are just fucking shit trash. No.
Okay, so men are terrible, or at least the men that she tries to date, as she goes on to talk about family in a second, they're all terrible, okay? Check.
No offense. I know I got some really great male friends and that's why you guys are my friends.
So hold up. There are good men, but they're your friends by virtue of the fact that they're good men. Very interesting. Tell me more about how men suck. When all of the good men who treat you well, who want to take you on dates, who do good things for you, who will be there for you and support you, you don't want those men. Those are friends because they are good men. Man, like, it's like they literally tell you it and then they can't see it at the same time. It's amazing. I believe they call this one cognitive dissonance.
But like, to date, I'm sorry, but like, I have not met anyone in Sydney that I could just look at and be like, wow, he would make a great father of my children. Fuck no.
Guys, I am so for those of you who don't know, I am Australian, and I'd like to take a moment to apologize if this is what my accent sounds like. Holy hell.
I don't know what happened. He told me I'm gorgeous. He told me I'm funny, that he could like really see himself with me. And you believed him?
Yeah, so the reason why the dudes are laughing, by the way, it's like, it's amazing because when girls are sold a dream, like when a guy comes along who's super attractive, who makes a lot of money, and he says, oh, I love you, I care about you, I can see a future, it's clearly bullcrap, but the girls want to believe it because they want to believe in that Disney fairy tale thing where they get the prince and she's just, you know, the girl who works in the farm, when in actual fact, she's not the girl who works in the farm, she's the girl who seems to work in the tattoo parlor, if this TikTok is anything to go by. But yeah, it's very obvious when men are selling you a dream, but women want to pretend as though they can't see it, and the lying is just so difficult to spot from the players, right?
The funniest thing about that video is due to the accuracy, it really puts into perspective how delusional men who say women just need to pick better men are. Because our guy friends will literally put us on game. Granted, it can take some time for the rules to stick. Admit that either they themselves put on facades for women, their friends put on facades for women. Hell, the men on this app gloat and brag about how they put on facades for women.
The reason why the men sit there and laugh at you is because it's very obvious that the guy is a player and he's not going to take you seriously. I make this point so many damn times, guys. Like, it is unbelievable, okay? Women will sit there and they'll try and claim the victim card of, like, plausible deniability of, like, oh, I didn't know his intentions. I thought he was a really good guy, etc., etc. All of this kind of crap, okay? When anyone with a functioning brain and two eyes understands that the man is not going to commit to the woman, just because he sits there and he tells you he loves you and he can see a future with you, blah, 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 doesn't mean that he's actually going to commit to you. And I always bring this back to the fathers, because fathers are really good judges of this. If you sit down a father and you tell him to choose a partner for his daughter, he's going to be able to choose a good one. But why can't you? Oh, the men, they just lie to me. They just trick me. No, you chase the men who lie and trick, because you want to believe that that guy who is way out of your league is going to come along and settle with you. And yes, I use the word settle.
And then when their dedicated performance works, when their Broadway debut gets a standing ovation, it's the woman's fault. How are women supposed to pick better men when men are walking around faking personalities for months to years?
Use your brain. Like, the guy who is 6 foot plus, who is making a bucket load of money, who's incredibly charismatic, he's got a lot of friends, and he's got a lot of girls who are interested in him. For you to come along and you're going to think, I'm the girl who's going to change him, I'm the girl who's going to be different, I'm going to be his girlfriend, it's laughable. And anyone with some common sense can tell you. It's funny, right? Because girls will literally, sometimes, guys, girls will sit there and, like, you know, one girl, this is very common, by the way, guys, like, if you go out, you can definitely see this, okay? A girl will go to her friend group and say, oh, you know, this guy, he's not taking me seriously, what should I do, blah, 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 but he says he sees a future, but it doesn't look like he's committing to me, and she'll be all in her feelings talking about this one guy who just doesn't seem to commit, but who is also giving her signs that he might commit, but he's not putting in effort, and her girlfriends are going to sit there and go, oh, ditch him, babe, you deserve better, you're a queen, you're so much better, right? And the thing is, she doesn't ditch the guy. Like, all of her friends know that she's not going to get the commitment. Her energy is not being quote unquote reciprocated. I hate the fact that I just used the word energy right there. I've been watching these TikToks far too long, right? All of her friends know that the energy is not going to be reciprocated, or the investment, I guess you could call it, whatever. But she wants to pretend as though she doesn't see it because she sees a future. Get out of here, man.
To get what they want. It's on the women to never be deceived. Just never being able to put your guard down in a relationship. Because again, these facades can go on for months to years.
You're not even getting the relationships. You're missing the whole point here. The men who say, oh, I see a future with you, I care for you, blah, blah, blah. Let's not kid ourselves. These men aren't even giving you relationships to begin with. So it's not like, oh, I got into a relationship with a man and he was lying the whole time, blah, blah, blah. If it is a struggle to get into a relationship with the man, even if you get into that relationship with that guy, use your head for 2 seconds. He's probably not going to commit to you on any sort of long-term basis. It's like, it's really not hard to figure out, but for some reason, their brains, guys, like, they just can't handle it. A lot of these girls, a lot of girls can understand, and a lot of girls go, okay, this is where I sit. I'm not going to be able to get this guy, that guy, and a lot of them have the common sense to chase dudes who are in their league, right? Or the dude will, you know, pursue them. But some of these girls, guys, especially in the modern day, you know, with Instagram and all this stuff and all of their friends blowing their heads up and all the validation telling them they're fantastic, they always feel like they're settling if they don't get that one guy.
Years. Not sound exhausting to y'all? Instead of telling women to pick better men, be better men.
No.
Raise better men and foster communities of better men by holding other men accountable for weirdo behavior.
Yeah, guys, so we just need to go out here, and these women, guys, they're just such victims. Men are lying to them and selling them a dream, and we as men, we need to take accountability, and we need to hold other men accountable. Here's the thing, guys. I don't think it's a good idea to lie to women. I don't think it's a good idea to sit there and tell them a dream and say that you'll be with them and you won't, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's a good idea. However, it is not hard to spot when a guy is doing this. So for you to sit here and claim the victim card after it's happened to you 27 times, I just really do not care.
Go for looks because the ugly ones will treat you just as badly. It's true. And I think a lot of us have recognized that. I think a lot of women have gone for people that they didn't find particularly attractive because they thought that they would be more humble and treat them better. And then their ego is like as big as it would have been if they looked like Zac Efron. The question is, why did we think that that was going to work? Women put their entire value in the way they look. Society has taught us to do that. Our value is...
This is, by the way, this is not a societal thing. that has taught women that a lot of their value comes from how pretty they are. This is a biological thing. Like, yes, there are big makeup companies who sell to these women, but like, if these makeup companies didn't exist, these girls would still understand. You know, if all of those advertisements weren't there about the ideal female body, even though that's being a little bit warped these days, right? But all these beauty standards weren't there. All of these makeup companies trying to sell these girls an image weren't there. They still understand that a lot of their value comes from how pretty they are. This is not something that, oh, women have been brainwashed into believing. It's like, no, girls have understood this for a very, very long time. It's almost as if it's a biological thing, not a societal thing.
Measured in how many men want us and how many men find us attractive. Men, on the other hand, have never been taught that. Men are human first, ugly second, and it's quite the opposite with women when we think about it in the way society views us. A man's value has never been measured in how attractive he is to women. A man's value can be measured even more in economic output, how much money they're making, and that's still based off of capitalism and the patriarchy.
Oh, it's so painful, guys. It's so painful. Capitalism and the patriarchy. Look, she does have a point right here, guys. Not the patriarchy part, all right? But men are valued more so for what they actually provide to society. Women, of course, are valued more for how they look, among other things, right? And this has pros and cons for each gender. But let me make a comment on this thing about her talking about, oh, you know, pursuing guys who are ugly, you get treated just as badly. Okay, first of all, humble yourself a little bit. All right, maybe the dudes who are unattractive to you, maybe even those guys are outside of your league with the amount of validation that you receive online. Maybe you just don't understand where you actually sit. Second of all, just because a guy's ugly, like, doesn't make him a bad person. What I think happens in a lot of these situations, guys, is girls will be attracted to the guy who's maybe not as attractive because he still has an avoidant personality to some degree. Like, he doesn't validate her, he doesn't do all these things that the simps do, so she'll be pulled towards him because she feels as though she's missing out on his validation, even though he's not as attractive. So it might come down to a validation and not so much looks, right? But in any case, that's a mess up on her part.
But thinking that a man's going to be more humble because he's not seen as attractive to most women does not work for a reason.
Maybe, like, this is wild. It's like they pretend as though they get in like 12 years into a relationship and they're like, damn, I didn't realize he wasn't humble the whole time. The reason you probably took an interest to him in the first place is probably because he had quite a bit of arrogance, which you could have seen from the outset.
Because he's still a man. Doesn't matter to him.
What is one thing that a man will do that lets you know instantly that you should not talk?
Ooh, this is so good.
If we could reverse the question there, I would probably answer something along the lines of orange hair, but let's move on.
So
excuse me, I don't mean orange hair, I mean, you know, dyed orange hair.
the first one would probably be if he tells you that he works for 4X or he's doing any type of, like, I guess, like, pyramid scheme type of a job. That's a no immediately. If when you find him on a dating app, majority of his pictures are of him with a bunch of other people, so you kind of have to play like, where's Waldo? Yeah, that's a no. Either he's highly insecure or it's a catfish. If any of his pictures or photos or videos on his social media are of him doing this, that's a no. Any guy who refers to women as females, you females. Like, and lastly, guys who say, you a freak, huh?
You know, it's funny, like, girls will sit there and they'll outline all of the attributes that they find unattractive in a man, but I guarantee she has been with men who exhibit these exact same characteristics. Like, yeah, we might look at it and go, oh, that particular behavior is cringe, but, you know, if the guy is attractive, he can get away with these sorts of things. Many times when girls are saying, oh, these are the types of men that I would never date or take seriously, these are red flags, and then they list stuff that doesn't make sense, it's usually because they've gotten with dudes who do those things, and they're still recovering from the heartbreak of being with that particular man. Yo guys, it's Taylor here. Just want to say thank you if you made it to the end of today's episode. Before you go, remember to subscribe to our other Fiend Gang members. Their channels will be linked in the video description. Our newest member is Detective Warg, so make sure that you go and show him some love. He's putting out daily content for you guys. Also, one of the characters I use and also a lot of our thumbnail artwork is done by an artist called The Gecko Ninja. He's absolutely fantastic, and his socials are going to be linked in the video description as well if you want to commission him for some amazing art. Otherwise, take it easy, gents, and I will see you all in the next episode. Peace.